D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, if you're here, it's because I'm reviewing the first 3 episodes of Andor. I want to say a couple of things before I get started on my review. The first one is I just want to say that, I love Star Wars. I love this universe. I love the aliens. I love the ships. For the most part, some of the ships are ugly, but I love Star Wars, and I love this universe, and I just think it's it's just a fun place to be with all the different things going on. Now, I want to say when it comes to Andor, I was not excited about this show, but I did want to see it because I loved Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was very good. It's in my top. I'll say top 5 because I did do a ranking. It's up here. If you guys want to check that out, but. And I probably will revisit that and just add the shows in. But I really liked Rogue One. I thought it was really fun. But I think I mostly liked it because of that end battle sequence, the space battle. So good. But I wasn't excited for this show. But I wasn't I was not one of these people that was all like hating on it from the get-go. I was like, you know what? If it's anything like Rogue One, I'll like it. Now, I have to say, also, before I get into this, that I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm, and small channels like mine, we always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. Now that I got that out of the way, all right, so the first 3 episodes of Andor are slow, boring, give little to no information, and it's clear that Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and Tony Gilroy don't understand Star Wars. I feel that there was low interest in this show from the get-go, and the only interest that was involved in this show was because of Rogue One, and I have to do that from my own experience. I wasn't interested if this had not had Rogue One, I would not be interested in this, and I think that is going to be an issue for this show moving forward because it was so boring. It was ridiculously boring. Like I was just like the whole time just like, okay, cool. So I think that when it comes to this show, they were relying on intrigue, but people don't care. I mean, normies don't care. Normies don't care about Star Wars, it made me ask the question of who is this show for? It's not for normies. Is it for normies? It can't be for normies because they don't care. Normies do not care. People that are not Star Wars fans don't care about Star Wars. I know because I know a bunch of them. Then I go, is this for Star Wars fans? I go, I don't know because, and I'll talk about it later, but Tony Gilroy has added no Easter eggs and no, connections to this show. So I just go, who is this for? And so I was just like, this has to be for Rogue One fans and Tony Gilroy fans. Because Tony Gilroy fans, they're all like, oh, it's going to be highbrow, sophisticated, and it is not either one of those things. It is mediocre at best, but boring as shit for the most part. It's mostly just walking around, junkyards and like back alley streets, and you're just like, it's like fine. The one city you got in here was like the very first scene, and that's like for like a hot second. The pacing is slow, and these 3 episodes could have been covered in about one episode, one 40-minute episode. And I feel like maybe that's what they should have done from the get-go for as far as these 3 episodes go. Now, I just want to say now, I'm not going to crap all over this show, right? I'm not shitting all over this show. There are things that I did like, and I want to do that. I'm going to talk about that, and then I want to talk about the characters after that. But okay, so the things that I did like, okay, the sets are stunning. I mean, the show is very pretty. The shipyards, which I felt like had that working man's, kind of feel to it, the working class and everything. Like me personally, I work at a factory. I got that not necessarily the factory feel, but I got that kind of, a blue collar kind of feel from that, them going into the shipyards. And then you have the woman, Britt Bix, how she worked in a shop and everything, which was her own business, I believe. I don't know if it was her business or that other dude's. but it was, you know, I liked the sets, you know, and they said that most of those were it was mostly practical. They actually built those sets, or they went to those. They didn't use what the Mandalorian uses, where they do that video game scene thing. I do have to say, there's no way that every single thing they did on here was practical. There's no way. There's just no way. But it was fine. It was fine. You know, it was very, very nice. And you can tell that they put in the time, effort, and the money when it comes to the sets. And I personally appreciate that. Because I'm very much like, when it comes to CGI, don't get me wrong, I love CGI, but I also have a huge love for practical, you know, effects and for instance, the sets. I have a huge love for it. The action was good for what little we got. That end gunfight scene between they weren't calling themselves the Empire. They were calling themselves something else. I was like, okay. But that was very good. I liked it, you know. He had the banging and everything, and then Fiona Shaw, her character, Marva, Andor, was all like, she's like, the banging isn't what you want to worry about. It's when the banging stops. That's when the real revolution begins, or some crap like that. I can't remember. She said in the trailer, and I didn't write it down here, but I liked that line, and I liked, I liked that end, laser gun fight sequence. That was very good, but it was very small, nothing special. And then, of course, the acting, which I do want to talk about the characters, not every single one of them, just the main ones. But the acting in this show is good. It's very good. I mean, but when you have people like Fiona Shaw and Stalin Skarsgård, how can you not have good acting? You know what I'm saying? So I thought that it was very good in terms of acting, and those are the things that I liked. Now, I do want to talk about the characters specifically right now. And I'll just, no one, and not in any specific order, except for Diego Luna gets to go first because he's the main character of this movie or show. Okay, so Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, or Casa. I like Diego Luna, but he pretty much had nothing. He did very little in these 3 episodes, and it's his show. Like, I'm all like, who are we focusing on right now? Because I feel like we're focusing more on the Bix character than we are on Cassian Andor. And I'm all like, don't get me wrong, and I'll talk about Bix in just a little bit, but I mean, I'm not interested in this character because it's called Andor. I came to see Andor, but I'm assuming we'll get more a little bit. It's just so boring. Plus, there is no high stakes because we know he won't die in this show, because he's in Rogue One, which I don't like when they do this kind of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that we get to see this takes place 5 years before the Rogue One. But personally, I'm just like, there's no high stakes for this character. So it's like, you can shoot at him all day, or you could drop a rock on him. I'm like, he's not dead. He's going to be alive in the next episode. So there's no, you can't end a scene with him in peril danger because nothing's going to happen to him. Sorry, I needed a little libation / caffeine. His backstory is even boring. It's so friggin' boring. And the gobbledygook that these little kids speak on that planet of Canary, or whatever it's called, there's no subtitles. So they're all doing their gibberish talk. And we don't know what they're talking about. And granted, I don't think that us knowing would have saved these scenes because they were really freaking boring. But it's like, listen, I saw the new West Side Story, and the Spanish speaking parts, they didn't have subtitles. Now, I thought that was a bad choice also, because I know a little bit of Spanish, so I can understand some of it. But for the most part, I'm all like, well, I want to know what they're saying, and that'd be nice. But this one, they didn't have that. No one could understand it. You didn't understand it. I didn't understand it because I looked it up, and I turned on the subtitles, and it just said it didn't say made up language. What did it say? I don't remember what it said, but it's just gobbledygook. And I'm like, come on, you guys, put in the work. So as far as Cassian Andor goes, his show, he hasn't had that much to go on. I mean, Like, I was like, okay. I'm like, wow, way to start off a boring show with your main character being boring as ever. And I will talk about him being taken off that planet. Because the planet of Canary, it's Canary, but I'm calling it Canary. It was like a mining accident. So I'm curious. I mean, I'm curious. You know, I'm not curious. I don't care. I don't care what happened to that planet or those little kids and their parents and all that stuff. All right, Kyle Soller as Cyril Carn. I like this character. I liked him a lot. I liked his can-do attitude. I really, you know, what gets me about it is I know a lot of people want to be all like, if you like the Empire, they're Nazis. But the thing I like about the Empire is, first off, I like that it's clean and it's orderly. I don't know about you guys. I mean, my office right now is a mess because I've been, you know, working on artistic stuff. But for the most part, I like things orderly. I like them in their place. I like them, to be clean and stuff. So I do like the Empire in that situation. But this character specifically, I do like the fact that he's trying to rise himself up in the ranks. You know, I don't know about you, but you know, you're always, when you're in a job and you're trying to constantly move up. Until you get to that sweet spot of CEO. But I do like this character, and I can't wait to see where he goes forward now, because he's got that PTSD with that final battle. He thought he was going to go in there and take out these little rebels, even though they're not rebels right now. But he didn't. He got they got taken down, suckers. Audrey Jonah or Arjana, it doesn't matter. Brix Colleen, she was fine, a little sassy, a little brassy, which I always like. But at the moment, nothing to write home about. I mean, she's hot, and I'd smash. But other than that, I'm like, whatever. I'm like, we'll see how she fits into the story later on. Stalin Scars as Luthen Raoul. He was only in it for a hot minute, so there's not much to say there in terms of his character. But he, of course, he did a good job acting. I love Stalin Skarsgård. I'll watch anything that man is in, and I've seen some crappy films that he's in, but he always does a great job. He is top-notch actor. And but I will say, I do think that his character will be dead by the end of this show. I think that, when it comes to terms of his character, when you're in such high stakes, I think eventually, you can only hide for so long. So I do think his character will be killed by the end of this show. And then finally, I want to talk about Fiona Shaw as Merva Andor. Again, very little to do in this episode. And I also think that this character will be dead by the end of the show, but we'll see. You never know. I did like her interactions with B. I am curious, is B going to be the big robot from Rogue One? Are they just going to transfer his little psyche into it? I did not like the robot stutter, and I do not like the robot either because he's ugly. I guess you're going to be able to buy that, like a life-size version of that, and I'm all like, no one's interested in that robot. It's ugly. It looks, I could literally build that out of cardboard at my house, and put a remote control car in it so it walks across my house. But Fiona Shaw's character, okay, so she takes a young Cassian Andor from his planet, and I'm all like, what are you trying to say here, Tony Gilroy? Like, get out of here. Speaking of Tony Gilroy, I want to talk about the writing. So Gilroy is obviously just wanted to write a political movie in space. And he had access to the Star Wars IP. I think that no matter what, he might have done this anyways, but I think he just wanted to do in Star Wars because these assholes. But someone should have told him no. Gilroy was specifically told to avoid including Easter eggs and fan service, from what I've been reading online, which is a huge misstep in my opinion. In fact, he said it was absolutely non-cynical as it could possibly be, that the show would just be real and honest. And it is honestly boring as shit. There is no on the edge of your seat moments, and I think that the show suffers from that. I am happy that they released the first 3 episodes, but I think only releasing half-hour episodes each week, especially if it's this boring, is also a misstep. So in conclusion, as I said before, Star Wars Andor is slow, boring, and it's clear that Disney Star Wars, that people at Disney do not care about Star. They don't understand Star Wars and they don't care. And this show is mediocre at best. And I mean, like, listen, I wasn't excited before, and now I'm definitely not excited. I'm not even kind of interested in watching episode 4. I'm going to, because I cover Star Wars on this channel. And I'll do a breakdown for my next one. This one was just 3 episodes, so I just want to do just straight up a review. But I just purely did not like it in the terms of story. It was just boring. It's just boring. All right, you guys. So tell me, you guys, what did you think about these 3 episodes? Did you like these 3 episodes? And by the way, I just want to say, if you liked this, by all means, like it. I don't judge people for liking stuff I don't like, and I want to love everything Star Wars. You don't understand. I want to love everything Star Wars, but they're ever since Boba Fett, they've been letting me down. They've been letting me down hardcore, and I'm like, what's going on here? They're just, and it's all in terms of writing. Writing this show was clearly, pacing was not good. Like I said before, they could have bust this down to a 40-minute episode. They could have taken out some of the nonsense, and that would have been fine. But they didn't do that. So, what are you going to do? All right, you guys, again, tell me what you guys thought about this. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week on my Andor breakdown and review. You guys have a good week. May the Force be with you. Bye.